Good morning, everybody, or in this case, good afternoon, wherever you may be at in this world. This here's a VR for Law and Smoke, and anyways, he wanted to know for the VR, other than being a subscriber, and that's what I am, and also for you to be a legal smoking resident wherever you're at and everything. He wants to know what we are proud of about our country. Well, first off, I'd like to say that my point of views will probably be more from a Native American standpoint before I get started, just so everybody will know up front. Um, it was said, back in history that the Native American culture will see this country come and see it go, and and everything. And I like to say that by pointing out a few things that's really in reality, and that is slowly, daily, we as American people have slowly let some of our rights be taken away with the way certain things are done, whether it's by the um, FDA or other form of regulations. And in all reality and disguise, it's really things imposing and taking away our American rights. And I often think the things I can find that outside of the reality that's going on, or has been going on for years, slowly, um, I think the things I love and I'm thankful for about my country, and that is this. I'm glad and thankful and proud that there is a I ain't good at pronouncing this word, preservation or preservation of historical things. And I'm also glad that with that, not only do you end up getting a preservation of the history according to the winner, but also with the way things are set up anymore. I'm so glad and thankful that we're allowed to also get the truth of historical preservation from the other side. I remember growing up, listening in history classes, which I wasn't really good at anything in school, but one thing I remember was sitting in history. I never cared about government history. It just didn't interest me. It was just too much like listening and learning about politics. It just didn't appeal to me. But um, I up and always grew up here, and I guess the Caucasian form of what history is, or the white Anglo-Saxon Caucasian version of history. And I'm glad that in this country too that we are also able and allowed to be accessed the truth according from the other side, whether it be native, whether it be immigrant, because a lot of people don't really stop and think about this, other than anyone who is Native American descent, and even full blooded for that matter, to go, get even in depth, really is someone whose origin ethnicity, comes from other sources outside of this continent. And and I'm thankful to know that I'm proud that of the fact that now I'm not proud of the things that concurred that happened, But I'm proud to know that this nation that we live in is a conglomerate of people from all four corners of the world. All people from many different walks of life is what makes this wonderful nation that we do live in. And that it also is protected, its borders are protected, and what civil rights we do have, and everything. That there are men and women, even from all walks of life, and descendants from all the people from the four corners of the earth, that make up this nation that even serve and protect it, um, and everything. And, I don't watch the news a lot, to be honest with you. I find the news to be very depressing, and some of it, a lot of actually, makes me very angry and upset. And because, they say we ain't got no editing or anything in our media, but we do, and we're only allowed to hear what they're allowed to say. And so I really don't watch the news at all. Really, I used to, just to pay attention to the weather, and once in a while I do just for the weather. But other than that, I got an app on my phone that I can just look up Google Weather, man. It's awesome, and it's 95% accurate. But I didn't really watch or hear too much about the teacher that was putting down our military. Now, I say everyone's opinion is good, and it's a necessity, because that's another thing about our country and the liberties that we are given being born in the United States, or when you become a citizen of the United States, is we are given the liberty of freedom of speech and press. And I think that is beautiful. Now, I don't know and can't remember how everything is in the Constitution for the liberties that we have, but I know freedom of speech and press is one, as well as the right to bear arms, as well as the freedom to not have to say anything at all, especially within a court of law that we might think might incriminate us. I'm glad for these things and thankful that we have these established in our country. But I do say that there is a time and there is a place to speak your opinion. Now, when you're a teacher, and you're teaching in a school environment, there is a curriculum that you do need to follow. There is proper procedures that you do need to follow, and I do feel, in the sense, the teacher was kind of in the wrong, as far as that being not being the proper time and place to voice his opinions and thoughts. I say I up and respect our military, all branches of our military, because our evil government puts them through a lot. Now, that's nothing. I love my country. I love my fellow people in the country. I don't trust and I really don't care for our leadership. And I think Law and Smoke, Mr. Professor Walker, made a great point when he was talking about whenever he was an officer. And, one of his fellow officers said that, chiefs will come and go, but the officers still stay. And I love the great point he made to that, because, that's the thing. It's us, the people, that make that unity, not the leadership or the government. Even though I do feel that in a lot of ways we, as the American people, are being cheated out of a lot of things, because a lot of us have become a bunch of pansy asses and not wanting to speak out about things. But that's my own opinion. And once again, I'm so thankful in this country that we're allowed to speak our opinions. We're allowed to say, well, I don't care for this politician, or I don't like this president, because I got a cousin that went over to the Philippines. He was dating a girl from the Philippines, and um, he was showing me some pictures and a few video clips that he made. And I asked him, I said, what are these little posters you see up and down all these houses? He said, oh, those are political posters. And I said, if it was me, I'd take them down. He said, you don't want to take them down. He said, they cannot remove those. They will jail you or kill you, sentence you to death for taking those down. It's a federal offense over there. And I said, "Oh my God, man." He goes, "Yeah." And he said, "He ain't like it is over here, buddy." And I even sunk into my head, how thankful I am that we're allowed to express our opinions and say that we don't like this or we don't like that or we don't like the way the laws are or the way the government's being ran or the way the people are allowing the government to be functioned. And I'm just thankful for that. And I'm also thankful that in this country that we're allowed to have free enterprise. We all are allowed to have and start and be owners of our own businesses or partnerships and corporations if we do so choose to desire that. I'm glad that we don't have too many regulations over here on our tobacco products. And I mean, it's almost starting to get kind of, you know, condensed like that. But from what I've heard, according from other things I heard, the FDA is kind of starting to back off a little bit, which I'm glad if that's the truth. I'm glad. Um, but those are some things that I'm glad of and proud of in America, in this country that we are. And I may not like or agree with a lot of people or a lot of things going on or that has been allowed to go on or take place, but I am glad that we have the freedom to make these choices and the freedom of free will to do so in our own country. And that, or it was almost like how L.A. Piper said, as which I don't know if this would be bad quoting him or not to the best of my memory. Well, I would say don't quote me, but, he was talking about how, you know, the fundamental beliefs, in this country was that every man is born equal with equal rights and equal liberties. And I think that's kind of like a small gist of what he was saying, that I could remember. And, I agree 199% with him. And also, I also like to say, too, I am thankful in this country that it was also passed that the freedom of religion was also, I can't remember if it was in the 30s or early 40s. It was somewhere in that time frame that officially Native Americans were allowed to express themselves religiously, because before that time period, Native people on the reservations couldn't even leave the res. Native American people couldn't express themselves religiously either through dance or their own form of prayers or even allowed to use traditional medicines. It was outlawed until the Freedom Act of Religion and everything was given to them and established. I think it was in the 30s, early 40s. I wouldn't quite quote me, but I do say check out the history and you might learn something cool. I remember it was told to me. I just can't remember precise dates. But I'm thankful for that because, I remember listening to the elders say, some of the elders say that you couldn't even play a hand drum. You couldn't even play a Native American flute. And, some of the elders, told me that they even remembered, some of the older ones said that they even remember the boarding schools and some of the horrifying stories that you heard. And I'm thankful that those things have been abolished. And I'm thankful that some people had opened up their eyes to that in this country. And I'm thankful for that. I really am thankful and proud of that part. Like I said, there are a lot of injustices that occurred within our country that made our country, and it was not right. Matter of fact, I believe every injustice that occurred upon this land, because a lot of people don't want to admit it, but our country is a blood soaked land of the innocent just to get something established. But sometimes through chaos, you have to go through chaos before you can find the beauty and get to the beauty. And I'm thankful that in a lot of ways in this country, I'm thankful that we've, as a people, have come together as one to battle that and overcome that, and that be established. And I'm so happy and thankful. I like to say, excuse me while I reline it. I apologize for my poor housekeeping. I'm smoking my Missouri Meerschaum Washington hardwood, and in it I'm smoking some whiskey flavored black Cavendish, as which I cannot pronounce this. I don't think I'm even pronouncing the name of this seller, or I meant the name of this tobacco, the company, but I think it says Holligan Dansky or Holliger Dansky or Holligan's Dansky. It's one of those pronunciations. I wish someone could actually that knows something about that blend or about that company could maybe make a video to where I could hear the proper pronunciation. I'd like to say to Mr. Professor Walker at Law and Smoke, thank you for this opportunity, and I hope this is acceptable for a VR. And I love the wisdom that you share. I love the stories that you tell, the wisdom that you impart, and I don't know if you've seen a few of my rants about officers, but I think if I would have probably met some officers like you when I was younger, that when you was an officer, I think I probably would have much more of a better respect for the police officers. But I respect them enough to know that they have a dangerous job, and that you know sometimes there's just things that got to be done because it's just part of their jobs. But I also have a rant about what I dislike about certain things when it comes to officers, and you just seem like one. You seem like remind me of a guy that I knew that was in uniform, an officer's uniform one time that had your same demeanor and everything. Someone that you could actually sit down and have a conversation with. Because I remember back in, I'm gonna say roughly late '05, early '06, I was running a detail shop. I was trying my hand at being an entrepreneur, and there was this one local town cop that would always go by my place. And one day he stopped, and I wasn't open to the public or anything, but I just had my bay doors open, and I was working on some vehicles, trying to clean them because I ran a detail shop, and I was trying to meet my deadline because I had contracts to, honor. And this cop came in. He said, "You're open kind of late, aren't you?" And I said, "Officer," I said, "I'm not really open." I said, "My close sign is up in the front part of the store." I said, "It's just kind of hot in here." And I said, "I just figured for the sake of it, I would lift up my bay doors and just allow a good cross breeze to come through." And I said, "Am I being a public disturbance or anything?" He said, "No." He said, "Just I drove by," and he said, "I ain't never seen your bay doors open like this late." And he said, "I just wondered if someone was messing around or what." And I said, "Oh, okay." And he's like, "You mind if I sit in here for a spell?" He said, "I got some downtime." And he said, "I've seen how hard you work, and I've heard a lot of stuff about your work." And he said, "I'd like to, sit down and talk with you for a spell." So we was talking, and talking like good old boys, and that's the first time in my life I'd ever had that type of experience, to be honest with you, with an officer. And most time my normal conversation with an officer is yes, sir, no, sir, I can't remember, sir, I'm not too for sure, sir, and well, you know, that jazz. And, anyways, I remember that little moment, you know, and that happened a few times till I quit the business because I had a crooked business partner. And, and everything. And one thing I do remember is that not too long after that guy had stopped and had talked with me for a few times, I started noticing even the police officers after a night of them picking up somebody that was drunk and intoxicated, as which was a horrible, horrible smell. But I guess they'd get sick in the back of the patrol cars, and they would actually bring their stuff to me to clean out the back seats. Oh boy, that was a horrible thing. I can't even see how some of them stood to drive around with that smell. But anyways, I don't know why I said all that. Oh yeah, now I remember. I was just trying to relate to the personality that you have that it reminds me of. And well, I hope this is an acceptable VR for your giveaway. And I thank you for this opportunity. And I'd like to say good luck to all the other entries. And wherever y'all at in this world, may you be blessed. Thank you.